9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
What up, y'all? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad, here for WWT Live, the Monday edition at an undisclosed place in Las Vegas. Child, I am tired. Thankfully, I'm not alone because the show probably wouldn't have happened. The PR princess is in the building, Miss Courtney Rice. How are you?
Hey, oh my goodness. Happy Monday. There is a lot. WrestleMania weekend has come and gone. So much stuff has happened, but also Vegas is going to be busy because if you're football fans, this weekend is the NFL draft. So Vegas is going to be busy.
Man, I don't know how the people of Vegas are. Well, not the people. I'd say more the people, the hotels and the restaurants, the folks who are working in there, how they're going to recover because like just driving around today, it's like quiet. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, cool. Like they got a little bit of reprieve, but it's like Vegas to me is like an island. Like it's a tourist attraction. People come here and, you have to have the events there in order for, everything to keep going. But another person who's in Vegas who I thought wasn't going to show up, but he is recovered. He's in the streets in Southern California. Said is also in the building. Are we just doing a smile? Not like hello.
I'm just going to piggyback off you guys' conversation. I don't know how Vegas is going to recover in my absence. The mayor spent a lot of money this week. Mayor was a little bit of a high roller. Okay. And it's money that will not be recovered. So you're welcome, Las Vegas.
That's how they live. Shout out to Sindel in the chat, Lewis in the chat, Eric, 80. I don't think I've seen him. So welcome if I haven't seen him before. And Jeffrey, what up, y'all? All right. Well, I mean, because I wasn't going to do it, but since Seth is here, you said you were recovering for Vegas. How was Vegas for you? Because I only got to see you the last day. So how was Vegas for you?
Shame on you. Shame. We're giving you hella demerits for that. Shame.
Oh, man.
Shame. And just to let you guys in the chat know, I had to pull up on TK at damn near 1 a.m. just to see her one night. And she showed up for the final match of WrestleMania yesterday.
First off, okay. So I was going to tell you, I thought you were going to give overall your experience, and now you're bringing me into the thing.
I'm getting there. Don't worry.
In Vegas, it's Tuesday, and clearly you can tell by my voice. I've been working. I literally finally got to sleep last night and a little bit before the show, and I'm still recovering. Like I'm recovering because I'm trying to figure out the best time to drive back to Los Angeles. So I apologize that I couldn't get to meet and hang out with y'all. It wasn't like I was just sitting up by the pool. I did have some incredible moments. I met some incredible. I was thinking about that as I was leaving my hotel today. I was like, damn. I didn't even go to the pool, and I bought a swimsuit. Didn't even get check out by the pool. Even when I saw Sed and Will at the pool party, I went and networked with the group that got. So,
well, if you guys have been following our socials, you know that this is all TK's fault. She could have had a pin in her swimsuit for our special series for the love of TK, where we had those gentlemen waiting to wine and dine TK with sweet nothings, and she decided to not show up. So. Swimsuit wasted, and we'll have to wait till the summer here in California and reschedule the event. So keep tuning in with the socials, and we'll get that going. But overall, my Vegas experience, and I'll be honest, for somebody that actually didn't attend the shows at Allegiant night 1 or night 2, it was amazing. I like the setup, and I'm not saying the setup of WWE. I'm talking about just WrestleMania week. I think the only thing I would change is there's so many events that run parallel to one another that it's impossible to do everything. I got in town maybe Thursday evening and drove straight to Wale Mania, and that was at the same time as Bloodsport and I believe TNA Breakthrough. So I didn't get to attend either one of those, but Wale Mania was amazing, and it ran late. SmackDown Hall of Fame didn't get a chance to do that, but Fourth Rope, beautiful show, amazing show, but it was from 12 to 4 a.m. and I had to get up and do NXT Saturday morning. So a lot of things coincided with one another, but it was a great week. Made a lot of good connections, saw a lot of great creators that do awesome work in this space and got to break bread with them. That's probably my favorite part of the entire weekend. But from the shows I was able to attend, and I'm talking about like independent shows, great work because the crossovers are there. You get people from AEW and other larger promotions, WWE, all attending there. I mean, I can tell you guys significantly that Joe Hendry rode the Ho Train to WrestleMania. And if you were in the building that night at Fourth Rope at the Palms, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it was a great week, great few days. And then the show, WrestleMania itself, the fact they had so many not watch alongs, but watch parties, that adds layers because there's a lot of fans that couldn't like fund the coin just to get inside WrestleMania. So they did a good job of having watch parties everywhere. Even when I was with the Councilman and the Professor, I think Friday night, the Palms Casino was showing SmackDown everywhere. So it was just all around inclusive of wrestling fans, knowing that they were going to be traveling here or there, like any fine dining restaurant, the bar situations, they were all showing wrestling. So they did a good job of making that community feel welcome, regardless of wherever they're at. And I feel like most cities don't do that. But since the Strip is kind of a melting pot and everything runs around into each other, they did a good job of making sure like, hey, WrestleMania is here in this city. And we're going to take care of this audience the best we can.
Yeah. Shout out to Mojo's crew. It was, I don't know if it's everything, but I have a feeling the stuff that had to do with the Palms, it was Mojo's company, Paragon, I believe the name of it is. And they had a lot of different events that were going on. And they're like, they had something with almost last night. They had the stuff with the Palms, they had stuff with Mark Henry. So my experience for you guys are like, oh well, yeah, TK was just, I wasn't on my computer. I was shout to Mark Henry and All Caribbean Wrestling. So I was with them the whole week and I was assisting Mark and his assistant Stephanie. And you know, we did stuff for Busted Open. We also did it was like a charity event. So there's a lot of things that was happening. And yeah, it was a great time. But I agree, like for not going to WrestleMania, because this is the first year. This would have been my third year going to WrestleMania because I went to LA and I went last year to Philly. This is the first year I didn't do anything, but I felt like you were so surrounded by it. It was hard to miss it. So shout out to Vegas and, you know, whoever the marketing teams and all the teams who were putting that together, because you couldn't have missed that WrestleMania was here. Like there was billboards all over. They had the hotel that I was at. They had the WrestleMania like grafted on the hotel. It was a really great thing. So like you shouldn't have felt, you didn't have tickets for WrestleMania, like you would have been fine. What up, Joseph? What up, Fernando? And also he is back from the streets as well. The councilman, Mr. Will Farrow.
Have no fear, your councilman is here. And I am tired.
That part.
Yeah. But all has been restored. Your councilman was hard at work, making sure that Hickenbottom paid for his bullshit plays. We've done our thing. Are we spending the next hour and a half talking about how Roxanne Perez was given the Slammy for Superstar of the Year? Y'all heard about that, right?
Yes, it's gonna be. I'm guessing it's gonna be an extended show, which was not the intent, but you know we have a lot to talk about, so we can. But
you can thank your councilman for that. Thank you, councilman.
I do have to pay TK with her second compliment of 2025, and this will be the last one for sure. She got her first one yesterday, and I'll say this: I don't know what the hell she puts in this body butter, but I put some on my ankles and my knees and stuff. And for whatever reason, the Godfather spawned outside my Airbnb with a double-decker bus full of suggestive women. I'm not going to tell you what I did after that, but it was the body butter that called them to my location. I don't know.
Wow.
If you don't got some, get you some.
I would like to know what that's like.
Do you have? There's no short with your order. I went according to what's on the thing. I didn't see your name anywhere. And you made the shirts. Whose fault is that?
First off, I have to drop off the shirts. Like you couldn't have brought down some. Why not came to bring these shirts? The fact I have to place an order.
I could have. Clearly, clearly my mind was not thinking about that. So you brought down the shirts. So here's what happened, y'all, because I'm always getting buried. Here's what happened, y'all. I said, look, team, I'm gonna get you some shirts. Shout out to Will. Will designed the new shirts and the website. So go and check out if you didn't check it out.
The mayor modeled the shirts yesterday.
The shirts, yeah, and said wore the shirt yesterday. The shirts came in. It took a while to get in, not the fault of Will. Got the shirts. It took me about 2 weeks to finally sit down and look at the list that I had made at the end of the year. And I just did the list. I put in the addresses that were on the list, and I sent the shirts out, and I threw in body butter and candles. I was just like, I've been running on E for I don't even know how long I've been running. So I apologize, Will. I didn't think of that, but like my head was not. I'm just here's the shirts. Here's the list. Let's go.
First of all,
Courtney got body butter.
What you're not gonna do is give the sob story to get the fans behind you. These were given to her 2 weeks ago before any of this shit started.
Didn't I say I said 2 weeks ago?
She was not. She wasn't running on no E, y'all, at all. That woman was wide the fuck away. Wide away. Then also gave me the wrong address and had me sitting out some.
Isn't that clear that I'm running on E? Is
almost,
that not clear?
Almost got me hemmed up in this red state that we in. Exactly. There we go, cousin Ron. Exactly.
To answer your question, Dylan, we'll be doing interviews for 30 minutes a pop on every odd day of the month, starting next week.
Yeah. We got a lifetime membership at Party City now for balloons. So we have definitely got to make that happen.
Exactly, because I don't know if you're in Vegas, you carrying balloons around, it don't really look too appealing, you know. People walking up to you like, hey, what is this for? So I had to pass out balloons, I had to pop some, I had to just set some free. People thought it was like a service that I was doing or a funeral. I don't know what they thought, but it was embarrassing for me.
Yeah, he definitely had
embarrassing that moment.
He definitely had a bird incident also outside the ponds with the balloons. Not his fault, just didn't know birds don't have nearsighted vision. We learned that this weekend, getting rid of all them damn balloons.
All right, well, something.
And I probably offended at least 5 service dogs just popping the balloons in that proximity, you know. So I got cussed out too. You know, we don't tell you the dark secrets of For the Love of TK, but some shit went down, and we had to do some PR work just to let people know that we're gonna take care of the men that showed up, for the people that were involved that, you know, we disturbed their peace. So we're gonna work out the kinks, and then we're gonna bring you a good product very soon.
Also, there was a slight altercation that almost happened because there was also a Crip convention going on, and so us releasing all these red balloons, they thought we were disrespecting the set. I'm not gonna say what they said to us because this is a family programming, but apparently we were what the kids say, banging on their turf. I don't know what that means technically. But
technically, I had to smooth things over and let them know about my past life, drop some names, and then they made some phone calls and things worked out. But it was a very sticky situation that could have went to fisticuffs very quick.
Also, TK, I'm gonna need a reimbursement because I bought Trinidadian flags to like put on your car so you could like pull up. Didn't have to worry about traffic and everything like that. But you know, you were with Mark Henry the whole time, and so I didn't get a chance to utilize those. So I'm gonna just. And Amazon won't let me return them. So I just
Amazon won't let you return them now. That's a lie.
I think it was a third part of it. These are unique like flags.
You know what I'm saying? I return to Amazon. That's a lie.
Speaking of those flags, we also had a vehicle wrapped Chrysler 300 with the Trinidadian colors and also Canadian plates and the back window said "just hitched." That when you picked your person, we were gonna like have you go out in style with a nice camera shot, and you know. We had to pay them for the extra time because nobody ever showed up. But I mean, yeah, it was embarrassing couple hours for us on those streets, you know. But we lived and we got out on the other side.
Yep.
Wow. In other news, Natalia and Matt Cardona, they're joining Busted Open podcast. There's a lot of different things, and we will get to WrestleMania, we'll get to NXT, etc. But it seems like this is growing. So, you know, what can we expect? And we'll start with you, Will. What can we expect from Matt Cardona joining Busted Open?
Well, as I said before, nothing's beautiful because it lasts. Um, eventually, things have to go downhill, and I guess it's that first sign of it with the boat and Matt Cardona being added. You know, I guess someone in the wrestling industry likes that. I guess.
So you don't think that they're gonna draw a crowd?
I'm kidding. No.
Oh, I was like,
Crowd is a strong word. Crowd is a strong word.
Hold on, let's we talking about Matt, so I'll stop. Because you put that name and draw a crowd in the same sentence, you triggered me.
That's those are words in a whole one sentence. I was like, I didn't think I'd hear that in 2025, but apparently TK believes it. No, but
God, I'm so confused right now. So you don't think you don't think his show will be any good? Is this what you're saying?
No, I think it will. I think Natalia's like knowledge of the whole game and just like everything she soaked up in the back, I think it'll be dope. Same thing with Matt. I think for me, the only thing I guess I am kind of concerned with would just be chemistry. You know, I just concerned more about the because it's Bubba's still going to be on there, right?
I think it's a totally separate show. I don't think it's going to be they're joining the Busted Open like weekly. I think it's a separate show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, well, then, no, yeah. I think it's just one of those things we just have to see exactly what they'll be doing as far as part of being on that network and what comes of it. Because I thought it was going to be on the main one. So my real concern was just like, how will they gel together? But no, I think you got like the whole, like, again, as much as we make fun of the boat, it's like, again, call the boat for a reason. I think her knowledge and everything will be a great addition to Busted Open. I think Matt could bring. I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't know. I don't know Matt Cardona like that outside of wrestling. So, am I gonna get Pat McAfee feels? Is he gonna come at us like maybe a Corey Graves? Like, I don't know that type of personality on a show. So, I guess I'm more intrigued to see. Yes, what will he bring to that type of platform?
Well, I could say that Matt Cardona, after he left WWE, is super creative. I saw him in Chicago, I believe. And this is when he was making the indie run. This is when he brought on Steph DeLander before she got signed to TNA. Even when you listen to interviews and Chelsea's talking about him, like in past interviews, I feel like he's so creative that he's going to figure out a way to make this podcast like work in his favor. So that's what I'm saying. Natalya, I'm really interested as far as what angle she's gonna do, because you can only do so many interviews. There was this person I was helping for their show, and they were developing it after they were with ESPN, and they were developing it after, and they said, well, I don't want to do an interview series because the problem with interviews that Oprah told him was like eventually you're gonna run out of interviews. Like, so it's better to rely on yourself. So I'm really interested on Natalya as far as how she's going to structure this, and if it's going to be a weekly thing or a daily thing, and is this more of a transition into something out of the career? Now, Courtney, as far as PR wise, with so many podcasts, thus being on a podcast right now, how do you think that they're going to promote it so they can kind of separate themselves from everybody else?
I think for Natty, as Will pointed out, she does have a lot of encyclopedia with the wrestling knowledge. Also, with the fact this could be helpful for her because she is competing with NWA next month. She could talk a little bit about that, her experience with GCW, which I saw floating around with her entrance, which was a matchup between her theme and Rage Against the Machine, and also the aftermath of it, and also some of the wrestlers that did support her in that match that could be helpful. And on top of that, she's releasing a book later this year. So that could also help out with her book as well. And for Matt Cardona, and it's ironic, Boza pointing that out because he does do a major, bigger podcast with Brian Myers, where they talk a lot about like the wrestling figures and also really get into like the toys, the memorabilia, which that could be an added layer to that. So I'm very curious. And plus with Matt, he can actually bring something from the independent side. because I don't think they don't have many hosts on the independent scene. They do, but for him, because he's been with that scene for quite some time, that could actually be a little bit more of a factor. And especially with WWID and also getting hit slots in there, I think that would be really nice for him to just really soak in that knowledge.
I wish Honey was here because that was her number one draft pick.
Yes.
When we did our fantasy draft on Kayfabe. Out of everybody, all the people on the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT and TNA roster, her number one draft pick was Matt Cardona. So I think she would have gave a wonderful opinion on him being here on Busted Open. If only she were here.
There it is. She is not here, but somebody who is here, our number one draft pick.
I like that segue you did right there. You get better and better each episode, TK. I like what you're doing.
Jacob DeLawrence.
So much better than the last intro I got. So much better.
I don't even remember the last intro. Was it a positive one?
It was backhanded.
Oh, okay.
It's just low down, dirty, and backhanded. Kind of like you belling on Sid, the mayor, and the professor when they tried to hook you up in Vegas. They had the whole show.
Wow.
And
we just talked about that. We don't need to rehash it again.
It's a running theme. Feelings are hurt.
Exactly.
Not to just add insult to injury, but the fact we were at the same hotel and it's like, you're here, we're here.
Wait, were you at the Palms or where were you?
Yes.
I wasn't at the Palms. I was in the Luxor for the first couple of days, and then I finished up at Resort World for the next couple of days.
Oh, so you lied then?
No, I did not lie.
No. Oh, I got this message that said we're moving to the Palms.
You were absolutely correct. What happened was we were told that we were moving to the Palms. Then we got there, and what happened is when they booked all the rooms, they already extended the rooms at the Palms. So then they booked everybody else who was left over at Resort World. And to be honest, Resort World, shout to them, amazing hotel. So many things.
It does look amazing. Yeah, it does.
It's really it's massive, and that's the one thing. I mean, it's a good and bad thing about all the hotels in Vegas. It's like you have to get your bearings, so you can't be there for like a day. So by the time I left there this morning, I was like, okay, I know where everything is. But even last night, I was there with Mark Henry's assistant Stephanie and Sarah, and there's a part that I didn't even realize was there, and I was there for like 3 days. And like they have this big sphere on the inside, and they have the really great restaurants with the hotels and the view that you get there. So you are correct. I did say I was staying at the Palms because I thought I was staying at the Palms. Then there was a little kerfuffle, and then we ended up staying at Resort World, and I enjoyed it. It was great. I just didn't get to go to the pool.
So two things out of what she just said. One, I knew this was a lie because she started off with "see what had happened" was that every time anyone starts off with that,
I can't win, y'all. I can't win. I can't.
And then secondly, spell kerfuffle.
Damn.
That's not more to you. That's just more for me and some other folks in the back.
But no, really though.
Paul Heyman on Pat McAfee show.
I need to go back and watch the full episode, but
Paul
Heyman is always working. Let's be real, because I mean, one thing that I feel like I missed this weekend that I really didn't intend on going to was the roast. And I'm hearing a lot of positive feedback from the roast as far as Paul Heyman's set and what was said during his set, doing like his pretty much stand-up comedy for the first time. But him taking that moment to parlay into McAfee's show, those are probably real thoughts, but it seemed like he was kind of breaking the fourth wall with some of the things he said about Pat McAfee in regards to Stephen A. Smith, Pat always being high on the job. It's like he was really going in. I mean, I think that's what will tie you in as a fan to want to know, like, hey, well, how much of this is true? How much of this is going on? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened today that not just that, even the Karrion Kross stuff, where it's like, hey, how much of this like is like really real? Because like, I mean, we know him and Seth Rollins are a thing now. He kind of reinforced that as like Seth Rollins being the young up and coming star that's going to change the industry for the next few years. But like, that was like rare form Heyman. So if you haven't seen that, and even the shot about Shannon Sharp, where I just read the whole statement, and I learned some words that you shouldn't learn after the day after he risen. But you want to go read that, do that in your own time. But yeah.
25K is all I'm gonna say about Shannon Sharp. 25K is a wild price. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
But Heyman is great, right? Like we really have to start to appreciate Paul Heyman and everything that he does, because the man has been in this industry since he was like 19, when he used to sneak into shows to shoot them for Pro Wrestling Illustrated and all that other random jazz, and worked his way up. And he's gotten better with time. Like these promos, the off the cuffness, the abrasiveness, it's all gotten better with time. And also, it's kind of funny because, like, the same bit as everybody's like, why would you trust Paul Heyman? Paul Heyman's never going to pay you, never going to do this. And he's turned it into a great working angle. Never trust Paul Heyman. He will air you out, as he did Pat McAfee and half of ESPN. And my whole thing is, at what point does ESPN kind of look at Pat McAfee and go, hey, we can't keep doing this, dog. Like, we only air 2 hours of your show. There's a whole another hour that they deliberately don't air. And that's usually when things go completely off the rails. But Stephen A. Smith, Pat being high all the time, Shannon Sharp, which is like so of the moment. Like, I think that news had just broke 30 minutes ago.
This morning it broke.
And Heyman was like, oh, okay, bet, watch this. Great for ratings, great for attention, but like at some point you kind of got to rein this in a little bit, rein Pat in a little bit.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. You can't do nothing about Pat, because the show was independent and successful long before ESPN. It is its own entity, and ESPN wants the ratings that accompany that. So they're not going to say anything about it. Like, that was very real what he was saying about Pat, as far as like not taking orders or anything from his own bosses that pay him. It's because he can get paid with or without the brands.
Right.
He was like that audience of people that, if you want to call it the frat boy audience, the barstool-ish type-ish stuff, that's going to follow him wherever.
Right. Yeah. But at what point does it become no longer worth it?
When the money
when the money stops. Yeah.
When the viewership stops.
When the money stops. It hasn't. And it's not. If you want to think about it, he is the Logan Paul of sports.
But you're going to get a power struggle between him and Stephen A. at some point. You're heading on a collision course.
You already are.
You're heading where you have to pick and choose one or the other. At some point, they can't exist.
It's not going to be them. It's the audience that's going to make the choice.
Yeah, who's bringing the money?
They're working on. It's the same thing with Skip Bayless. It was like, yo, we know which one we're going to push to. We're going to push to him.
I'm trying to say this right without.
That they can run concurrently or like, merge together.
It's already trending in that direction, and McAfee's getting over Stephen A. Stephen makes a lot of money, I would say, but it's already trending in that direction because you see Stephen A. is leading more into the political side and saying, you know what, I can't deny this, even though it's like he's doing more guest spots on CNN and those networks to actually talk. So he's already transitioning into that world, because that Pat thing is like we said, it's like kind of undeniable. It's growing. It's not diminishing at any rate.
Yeah. And you see they keep giving him more stuff. Like, he's hosting the Hall of Fame. He had the Pat McAfee show in 2 different places that you're now incorporating into WWE. It's like, it's there.
Pat fits their brand because they told us this past week what their brand is and which way they lean and so forth. They told us everything, and Pat fits that for a large section of it. So, of course, WWE is going to keep backing Pat.
Yeah, and he brings in a crowd that they didn't typically have.
They had it.
No, you didn't have sports fans. You don't. I promise you did not have football fans like that. That's why them ticket sales were the way they were.
Let me rephrase it. They had it. What he brings is more of an overlap of the sports fan, but that sports fan that he's bringing fits the dynamic of what they already had.
It does, but they didn't have the bridge to bring that flow over just yet. And
fair enough
is what created that bridge to do it. So now it's being able to show like, hey, because we were talking about that this weekend. It's like, this stuff is no longer about us, like the people you already have. It's like, well, we already got y'all here. We know y'all gonna watch. We know you're gonna check out the product. We're catering to the folks who don't typically watch this and going to bring this in. And we're going to make the focus them. That's why you have it so incorporated the way it is. And because of the fact that they know that audience that he has, they don't care. They're buying it. Like they will buy $800 tickets to a football game and sit in the freezing cold and be cheering their asses off. That's why if you even notice at WrestleMania, your normal fans weren't sitting in the front.
Well, it's been that way forever, though.
No, I wouldn't say forever.
I would say it's been more noticeable the past
the past 10 years we got priced out of Mania. Since 30, we've been priced out of Mania because 30 was ridiculous.
Not 10. No,
30 was ridiculous. I don't know if we're going to attribute that to NOLA / the Superdome, but 30 prices were ridiculous.
I was about to say because Tampa's was not bad at all.
I love Tampa, but it's Tampa. Like it's one of those things.
But this fresh off the Super Bowl after y'all won. So at any time, if it's to do it, you would have did it then. But even then, they weren't that expensive. Right now, bro, it was $5,000 to be on the floor.
There's nothing to do in Tampa compared to the other places.
True.
So you have to drop to accommodate for Tampa. You notice they haven't gone back to anything that small of a market since.
I don't know. The mayor had a very good time in St. Petersburg, but I won't tell you what I was doing down there.
So, like I said, I will see you two at the end of May, right?
Listen,
Councilman, Mayor, end of May, TK. You got us, right?
Well, TK couldn't come downstairs, so I wouldn't expect her to travel across the country.
I'm going to.
She ain't got to come. She just needs to clear us.
Actually, it depends. Damn. I have to check the schedule, but yeah, I can work on that.
She just needs to clear the three of us. She ain't got to come visit. It's fine.
Jacob's like, I don't care about her. Can you get the tickets, please?
I'm just saying. I know you're a busy woman. You have a lot to do. You got multiple companies. You consult. You name drop like the game. I get it. You're a busy person.
I do not name drop like the game. What are you talking about? I mean, there have been so many names I could have dropped this weekend, and I didn't.
Mark Henry's assistant, Mark Henry. I was working with somebody with ESPN. They mentioned Oprah. I mean, do we need to keep this going?
That's like so minor, but something that we can keep going. Congratulations.
That's how you know she big money and big time. That's minor, but continue on. Let's go. Love you, boss lady. You're the best.
We'll start with you, Courtney. Swerve Strickland won the AEW World Heavyweight Championship 1 year ago today, and I feel like there was a lot of talk leading up to when he won it. And there's always been a little bit of I don't know if the right word is controversy with him, but as far as Swerve's impact within AEW and being a champion last year, how has that been? And as the AEW PR princess, things to say.
I mean, that's one of the bright spots Tony Khan got right, because when he was champion, stock was up. He brought in a lot of opportunities. If you saw West Side Gun in the audience, he was able to do that. He was able to get in music, a little bit of mainstream, even after they signed on Max. So his stock was popularity rising. Plus, you had the coolest manager in AEW. So that actually helped as well. And even when he didn't have the title, he was still popular. So that's also another factor, too, for him to really provide a contribution. Yeah, he does have a little bit of skeletons in the closet. But, yep, that's how it is. Skeletons in the closet. But he did really make an impact within that. And also, he's still popular to this day. And also floating within the world title picture, because it's open season for him, and he's doing Bucks hunting season. So that is his main mission. Of course, he wants his title back, but he's going to get it back. He's going to get back his title.
Any other thoughts, Jacob or Sid?
I think that title run established himself as a top guy, because he's been in some of the major storylines in this brief history of the company. So he's one of the major players just off him becoming the first African-American champion in AEW, but also he had staying power at the top of the brand. So he's allowed crossover appeal. He's some of the bigger moments. It's like we go back to talks of AEW, always talk about pillars this, pillars that. Like Swerve made himself a pillar with his rise to stardom. Like the back of the company is going to be on him whether he's the champion or not, because he's a popular act now. You want like an appearance somewhere, you want a great storyline, Swerve can be a part of that pretty easily, and it's going to be like that going forward.
Jacob?
So good or bad thing established, like they said, made him a true main event player. Those that of us that have been watching Swerve since Lucha when he was Kill Shot or when he first got NXT, we all could see it. We're like, okay, it's a matter of time. It's just, will he get the chance to get there? Didn't get in WWE for whatever reason. We don't need to go down the Booker T, AJ Francis road again. And he proved AEW, he put on the weight, he made himself look like a heavyweight, look like a champ, and he proved he could run with the belt. My only problem is, did he prove to himself to be so good that he's become a crutch like Moxley? That like, if they get into a jam and a pickle and we need a shot in the arm, does it become, oh, instead of give the belt to Mox, oh, let's go run Swerve in a main event angle. Let's go inject Swerve into this.
Is that
kind of this is what it feels like now, right now?
Is that like possibly like a good thing? Like how they do it? That's kind of feel like what they used to do with Charlotte.
It's a safe thing. I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's just a safe thing. Like again, Moxley 4 times, and half the time Mox has taken the belt has been when they've been in a status of upheaval. Things seem a little unsure and a little shaky. And I kind of think that's what they did with Swerve this go round of like, all right, we're kind of stuck in dead water. We're treading water with this whole Death Riders taking over the thing. Who's hot right now? Who can we count on? Oh, let's go to Swerve. Because you have arguably the best babyface in your company is currently climbing a mountain right now, trying not to kill himself. During a very crucial time, which you probably would want that man around, you would think, right? But I think it's great. Happy for Swerve. Let's see how long it takes him to get back to that mountain and hold the belt. And let's see what that second title run looks like. It's easy to do it the first time. Let's see if you can do it again and have the same results and make us care or do it better.
Yeah, that is going to be an interesting thing. I hope he can do it. Something that I am happy that has been done. I've been asking for this. I've been hinting at this for years. So WWE, they're having a new Netflix show. WWE Unreal. It's coming to Netflix this summer, where they're taking a peek behind the curtain. I mean, obviously it's going to be scripted to some extent. We might not see everything because that's where legal issues happen. But I'm really excited about this. Do you think, Courtney, as far as like PR and the partnership, because that was another thing that was kind of undeniable. I don't think people realize, and I don't know if you saw it said in Vegas, how Netflix really kind of like WWE had activations prior, like last year and even the year before, the ones I've attended. But it feels like Netflix put like this really nice gloss over everything where these activations like took it to another level. But you also it wasn't in your face. Like this wasn't like presented to you by Netflix. It was like, if y'all didn't know, like you should know, but if you don't, that's fine. You're still gonna buy Netflix to watch us. That's kind of what it felt like. It wasn't too much in your face, but it was there. So Courtney, as far as like PR, what else do you think WWE and Netflix might have up their sleeves? And is this a good play to see behind the curtain?
I felt like we've been talking about this for the last couple of years, but I mean, it's very intriguing on how this is going to go, because I actually did see a preview of it, and it was very interesting in the writer's room just to see how their minds work, and with Triple H in the room as well, and really thinking on where he's going to take it with that direction. Also, I know with the partnership with Netflix, they're trying to bring in audience members who are not used to being fans of professional wrestling. So that's another layer, just really get behind the curtain and kind of seeing the behind the scenes feeling, and also how the activations work. So that's another thing that they're trying to do, because that's mainstream. People, they want to bring in that mainstream audience under the WWE TKO umbrella. So I'm very curious on how this is going to go activation wise, how they're going to promote it, because they're supposed to be premiering this in the summer. So this is going to be very curious, along with the fact they're also going to have Money in the Bank in June. So very curious how that's going to tie in with the show, along with promoting Money in the Bank.
Said, is there anything that you're hoping to see on this show that like you've been curious about?
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not my thing. I don't think I'm a fan of something like this coming out because I'm the type of fan that wants to be surprised. I don't want to know everything.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that's going to appease a certain audience of people. But I also think it's only going to highlight the good. So we're going to focus on the storylines that panned out. I don't think you're going to take me behind the curtain and show me your worst writer, the one who hasn't had a story hit in the past 12 months that's on the chopping block. You're going to show me the writers that seemingly had something to work out, or you're trying to work through the kinks of this person's storyline. Like maybe he has something and we're tweaking it and you're seeing it mature over the past few months. You're not going to take me in and show me a writer who's been absolutely ass and he's close to being terminated or something like that. So that's why, I mean, it's reality TV. Some people like reality TV to the point where it's like you feel like you're a part of it and you're learning more. But like you said, TK, I think it'll be scripted to a certain sense to where we're not getting the full truth.
Jacob, is there anything that you're hoping to see? And by the way, I am one of those people. I love seeing behind the scenes. As you guys know, I am the person who reads the book from the back to the front. So I love to see the little. Hold on.
So like,
you didn't know that?
Professor told me about this the other day, and I call it BS. I was like, that's not possible.
No, it is.
And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Because like if it's a self-help motivational book, you completely are not getting the journey that you need.
Oh, okay. So I say it
fiction.
So no, it's everything. So I say it to keep the story short, but for the long version, since I guess you weren't there for that show, what I do is I start reading the first couple of chapters. If it's fiction, I start reading the first couple of chapters, and it gets to a point where it's like, man, I really need to know what's going to happen so I can feel comfortable in this situation. I'll read the last few chapters, then I'll go back to where I was in the beginning, and then read the rest of the book, including the last few chapters again. So that's how I did that I read Harry Potter, all those books. I did that with Harry Potter too. Because I'm like, are they going to kill this little boy? Like, what's going on? So now I'll go back to like, oh, they ain't going to kill him. And then I'll go back to where I left off and then read the rest.
How long have you been doing this?
Oh, forever. Because I read a lot of books. Now I do a lot of audiobooks. I'm lying. I used to read a lot of books. Now I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but even sometimes with the audiobook, I'll skip to like the final couple chapters, listen to it, and then rerun back. But I've been doing this.
But you're missing the journey.
Huh?
You're missing the journey.
No, I go back to the journey.
The reward is not as fulfilling.
Oh, but it is. Because now I know. Because now when I go back, I'm like, okay, well, they didn't die, but they broke up. So now I go back and now I see all the little gems that you wouldn't have seen because you didn't know what to expect. So now to tie it back with the show, like looking at, for instance, if they show how Naomi's character evolved, right? They show that from beginning to end and what happened in the writer's room. Like, was Naomi involved as far as, her hair or her gear, or was she pitching this story a long time, or did they pitch it to her? Or how all that happened? That stuff fascinates me. Like I want to see, we already saw the final product, but I want to see how we got there. Like I'm
just gonna take some notes. I have to let the men know about this character trait. That's gonna change some things.
Good. Quick question before we get to WWE Unreal. Do you do this with movies as well?
Oh yeah, everything.
You might be the worst person I've met ever.
If I'm binge watching a show, I'll watch, and it gets to like what was that one show? It was that this is gonna sound bad. It was like that white show with the family, and
I'm gonna need you to be a lot more specific. That's like 80% of TV, Chief.
It was the white show with the family, and they were all vying for the dad's position. It started with
Succession.
Succession, yes. I was watching Succession, and it got to a point, and I'm like, and then so I fast forwarded it. I went to a few episodes over, and I found out the dad died. Sorry, y'all, the show's like old, so whatever. The dad died. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I went to the very end, and I saw that. I'm like, all right, bet. Now I know how the skin. And then I went back to where I left off, and then watched the rest.
All right. Yeah, make sure you make notes of that, said, so we can, give people a warning.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google what.
warning. I love good spoilers. I don't mind good spoilers. I'll still watch it.
Pretty sure that's a mental health condition, so I'm gonna make sure I do my research on that, so they are prepared. Yeah.
Just yeah. All right. So WWE Unreal. You know what this is? This is Total Divas. That's what this is. This is just Total Divas for a new era, new audience, slight tweak, slight change. And I think with them releasing it in the summer, they're going to play 6 months behind. Like they're going to go ahead and give you everything that we've already figured out, tweaked out, edited out. Like, okay, cool. Like maybe it'll be a nice little inside look at some things, but also like if you could reach out to somebody that you know that's worked for WWE and get a more inside story, if you know one of those people. So it's going to sit in that realm of scripted reality TV. It has an audience. It has a place. If I get bored, I'll put an episode on. But like, meh. I see what they're doing. You're trying to bring in the non-traditional fan. You're trying to get the casual. Oh, you love reality TV? You love this scripted drama? Hey, maybe you're trying to bring in the guy's girlfriend so that way it can work that way. I get it. Cool. Everything has its place. Again, not for me. Maybe you'll get something good out of it because they always give us some random talking point that we'll be here talking about in probably 3 months when the show debuts. So, okay.
Yeah. It also gives people to relive certain moments. So I remember I was working at TMZ at the time when Kim Kardashian, she got robbed in Paris. And so like that whole, like she had a set of stories and things that were happening to her with her and Kanye and all this other stuff. And by the time the reality, actually at the same time I was working at AfterBuzz TV and I was doing the Kardashians after show. So by the time we started doing the after show, I had already run through all her stories with TMZ. So it was like a rewind of everything that happened. So for people who don't necessarily watch WWE in like week in and week out, it might be there's some storylines that they may have missed, or like I don't know about y'all, like I can't, every week in week out, there's stuff that you might miss, and you're like, oh shoot, I totally missed that, and now you actually get the full effect of it. So it's very dependent, but we'll see what happens. But Ced got the full effect of NXT Stand and Deliver. You're wondering where I was going to go with that, right?
Where we going with it?
He's like the full. I thought I only saw you one day. Did you see what else I was doing in Vegas? Give your overall view of Stand and Deliver, and then we'll go to recap.
I wish Councilman was here because we both were in the building for Stand and Deliver. He said I think there's an outage. He said it was in this building, but Stand and Deliver. And if you didn't know, I think I told you guys at the beginning, like I didn't get back till 5 a.m. from Fourth Rope. Took the professor home and then probably got 2 hours sleep, got up for Stand and Deliver. And it was a great show. If there's anything I learned is that the multi-man or multi-women matches for the weekend dominated the weekend. It was a great show. The crowd was really good. The crowd chanted. I believe we did get TK fumble chants and thank you TK chants in the opener for Ricky Saints and Ethan Page. I loved the ladder match for the North American Women's title. Of course, my client didn't win. Hickenbottom. We'll talk about that. But I can't root against Black excellence. So shout out to Sol Ruka. And then Jordan, Stephanie, Julia, Jada, phenomenal match. It's hard for me to pull my favorite. You know what's crazy? The main event, probably one of Trick's top 3 performances. Great performance by Trick, Oba, and Javon. But what surprised me was Hank and Tank and Fraxium. That was probably, to me, match of the night. Like, I didn't know Hank and Tank could get down like that. And the fans were up for them the whole night. Tank was showing his ass. I really didn't know he had a bag like that, but that was a really good match from beginning to end. And a lot of the fans got to like take pictures and stuff with a lot of the superstars because I was actually right next to the entrance stage around that aisle. So it was fun. It was a fun event. Everybody that showed up got a treat. Everybody got a very good, strong card. And it really kicked off Mania weekend.
Courtney, was there a match in particular that stood out to you? And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, said you being in the building and Courtney, you watching at home. I know typically there's like a separation, like you can hear what the announcers and commentary team is saying, so you're kind of getting the overall story. I don't know if they were piping that in this time around, said, but like you watching at home currently, was there a certain match that kind of was like, yeah, this was the match of the night for Stand and Deliver?
I always have a love for tag teams, and I loved Fraxium and Hank and Tank, because Hank and Tank has definitely rubbed off on me since I started watching NXT, and they were the tag team that were just like, you love them so much. They have that charisma, they have the action, and also getting to that mountain of being NXT tag team champions for the last couple of weeks. They interacted with so many tag teams, from the Street Profits to Motor City Machine Guns, had an interaction with Pretty Deadly, and even interacted with the Hardys, Matt and Jeff. So seeing that whole journey, and against Fraxium, and also the announcer table, I felt like it had so much damage throughout Stand and Deliver, throughout the tag team match and the main event. So I was very happy to see Hank and Tank win the tag team titles. Also, Javon Evans, the young OG. He had a stellar performance. And also, there was an interview earlier in the pre-show that mentioned about his 2 previous title opportunities, and also saying that there was growth in him. And seeing that match, he had a lot more confidence when I was seeing him in Javon Evans. So he definitely does that. Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, definitely a solid match in between. But I know the women's title match, but that 6-man tag team match, I don't think anybody saw that portrayal coming from Tony. But that was like, seeing
What do
from
you
the
mean you
announcers.
didn't see it coming?
Did anybody see that coming?
Ma'am, Courtney, with all due respect, please take those glasses off, find a nice microfiber cloth, wipe them off real quick, and put them back on. Because how could you not see that coming?
What else were they gonna do?
That's his telegraph. That is, if you didn't see that coming, that's like saying you don't expect Tony Storm to say tits at some point. It's gonna happen.
If anything, that match angered me, because it's like, why fight the entire match just to do that? Why?
And why spend 5 to 10 minutes at the end of it going, oh, I'm not going to use the crowbar. You should use it. No, let's not use it. I'm going to use it. No.
If anything, that what they accomplished during that match is like, you turn somebody that legitimately has a body on his record that we can verify into a sympathetic figure. You turned him into a sympathetic figure in that. So this might be the first time that Tony D'Angelo is over with the audience of NXT that watches it, because the man should be in jail. Let's just be honest. But that was like, even the fact that wasn't on the pre-show, that's what made me mad. But I get it. You're trying to.
Well, it was Dark State. Yeah, you got to get Dark State.
You got to get Dark State over. But I mean, the Fatal 4-Way tag was even a good match, but that was like, we knew it was going to happen. It's just like, when?
It took too long. That match.
And by the way, best part of that match for me, Rizzo's moment in the arena. Rizzo got air when she took out homie. It was like she got like Javon Evans type air on that dive.
Yeah. I don't know how you just like that was so obvious, and like now all this is done is make me not really care about Stacks, because I didn't care that much to begin with. So now you give me a little bit of interest. Like, all right, you got a week to see what you do to what you gonna do with it now, and like I guess I should feel bad for Tony, but also like I still don't really care about Tony. Like, he's got a lot of accomplishments, but it's like, dude, nobody. Do you really feel the type of way when Tony D'Angelo pops on your TV, one way or the other?
He's gotten so many
other than that tracksuit that he's finally gotten out of.
I knew it was going down as soon as everybody else is dressed in different colors than Tony.
Yep. Great.
But I mean, if you want to know the in-arena action, people were just like, oh, like shocked, or like I said, they turned him into a sympathetic character. So you might see some fanfare for Tony, but this is literally like, damn, what's the angle here? No, I'm thinking of Hank and Tank. Hank and Tank is literally what they did with a no-fan blade. Literally the same thing. But you might see a sympathetic figure that actually plays out, that gets Tony the whole chase you rub, where people want to actually see him get over the hump.
Maybe this gives Tony a new character. like Special Little Nobody said, this character's kind of dead. Like, there's a shelf life on this character.
Mm-hmm.
We all can agree it's probably not going to work on the main roster, right? Like, this is probably one of those that doesn't get over on the main roster. So maybe Stacks takes the family and Tony's down on his luck and we get the bad news Corbin, the Chase U angle, and maybe that makes me care, but you know,
It's
she could very
disappointing that
easily.
nobody became the leader of Dark State. I think that's what everybody was waiting for, whether it was
I like
Stacks,
it like this.
Trick, Javon. We were waiting on that, and it didn't pay off.
I don't think you need to pay it off right now. Let it cook a little longer. Let it cook a little longer. Get Roxanne the hell out of NXT, please. Like, she should
I
have
thought she
been
was on
gone.
her way to the main roster. Is she just kind of?
She's trolling Bailey today, and she abandoned Cora in the match, which
Mhm.
that surprised me because I thought they were pigeonholed to win. It just made sense.
What, for
But
them
then
to
we know
win?
what happened with Bailey and then Becky and stuff like that for Mania. So, you brought Roxanne and Cora together just to separate them. And if you saw after the show, Roxanne approached Stephanie McCour. So I think that's the next step for her. And then after that, she'll be done in NXT.
Please pack her up, send her on up to the main
I
roster.
feel like
She's
we've been
done
saying
everything.
she was going to be done with NXT for like 6 months now.
Because
La
there's nothing
Primera
else
gonna
to
give her
do.
the match she deserves.
Yeah.
There's nothing
As
else for her to do. She's been a babyface, been a heel, multiple time champ. You've knocked off almost everybody. Like, what else is there for you to do? Pack it up, going up to the main roster. I get she's young. Who cares? Send her on up to the main roster. Let her cook with Bailey. Because I thought we were heading toward Bailey and her for Mania. And then we just completely turned left and abandoned all plans. And her turning on Corda J, they've turned on each other so much. It's whatever. That's, you know what that is? That is Sean doing him and Hunter with those two.
Yeah, it's goofy. It's real goofy. But I'm happy
That's
for
what that
Gigi
is.
and Tatum because Tatum been nice for a minute now. So Tatum's tried to get her match against Lyra and Becky. That'll be fun.
I just have one problem with that. I need them to stop pigeonholing Gigi into tag teams.
Mhm.
She can go. She is so much better than a tag team wrestler, which, not to make it sound like an insult, but it's like they only see her as a tag team or part of a group. Let her rock. Why can't she make a run for a North American title?
Is it a protection thing, like how? I mean, it's been a minute for Gigi though, but like how they started Jade off, like, you know, kind of for her to get her bearings. Is there something that we're not seeing that the people at WWE and NXT are seeing? Like, okay, she needs to just get this thing kind of in order before we can let those reins loose, or do you think it's just they don't really have anything for her singles wise?
No, I don't think it's her fault at all. I just think it's just a natural correlation to these athletes that have come through the PC by way of NIL or actually ex-athletes from college sports that just kind of figured it out fast, you know, and that the audience really gravitated to them. Like you're talking about Jada Parker, So Ruka, Kalani Jordan, the audience just naturally gravitated to them because of what they do in the ring. So it's not anybody else's fault. It's just that they garnered such a reaction that they got fast-tracked.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's the Bianca or the Naomi to Jade. I don't think she's Jade. I think she's the safe hand that can kind of help guide through some of these younger cats in the division. Some of the NIL, because you think about it, she's been in the ring with almost every person that Seth just mentioned. She's been on the indies for a minute. Like, we all know her as Priscilla Kelly in that one spot that had the whole internet in an uproar for a good week. So I think she's the safe hand, and like, it's a good thing to be. You're always going to get work. She's been on TV. And I also think when Toxic Attraction split, I don't know if it was putting Bailey into that mix, just the weird timing of NXT being in that weird spot of like, we're not 2.0, but we're not fully out of 2.0. Just that whole feud between her and JC just didn't hit like it should have.
And that's
So I think
Hickenbomb's fault. Relying on
there's
shock
also
value,
that.
like that Tony Khan. Let's do some shock value shit. It's just stop.
Like, keep those two together. You could have easily ran them without Mandy.
Mm-hmm.
How easy was it for them to just do a promo and just like have somebody that looks like Mandy laid out in the back, or just them being like, hey, you know what? We're all you need here. Real simple. And let them run as heels and keep those belts. Something. something like that. But the Meta Girl should have won Fatal 4-Way. By the way, I love Gigi. Meta Girl should have won. How many times are we going to pump fake the Meta Girls?
Yeah. Said saying no.
But
because it has so many
hindsight's
opportunities and
2020.
lost. So why should I expect it to be any different now?
Fair. Hindsight being 2020, I'm glad the Meta Girls didn't win because I don't want them to get fed to Becky and Lyra because I don't see those belts coming off of Becky and Lyra no time soon. Like, Lyra will probably drop that IC title before she drops some tag belts.
Don't be so surprised, man. I feel like
you bring Becky back for Mania for her to lose within a couple weeks, months.
I feel like Becky could turn on Lyra and be the exact antithesis she needs to make Lyra's character be cared about.
All right, cool. Glad you mentioned that. This brings me to a problem that I discussed with my boys over the weekend. Stop using the tag team titles and your mid-card titles as devices for other shit. Period, point blank, plain and simple, especially the tag belts. Stop devaluing your tag team belts. Stop making these makeshift tag teams. I get it, mentor, mentee, the high level of respect they have their matches. Cool. But if this is just leading to Becky turning heel and pairing up with Seth and Heyman and whatever, why? Why take the belts off Liv and Raquel at that point? Why?
Because the man collects a mid-card belt and like further adds to her legacy, and then Lyra has to overcome that. She gets
there's a million ways that you could have got to that
because it's a high profile program, and it makes sense.
Yeah, but there's a million better ways that you could have got to that without one taking Bayley out of a spot that's been planned apparently for months. So like now you just made Kaden Carter and Katana Chance look stupid. You just made Natty and Maxine look stupid for not winning. Everybody in that gauntlet, y'all look stupid for not being able to win that. When y'all are more actual tag teams, Pure Fusion Collection, than Bayley and Lyra just thrown together when they were just fighting over the IC title, respectfully or not. And then you take Bayley out, you bring in Becky. Like, why? Just bring in Becky to back up Lyra after Lyra's getting her ass. You know what would have been perfect? Monday night after Mania. Lyra was like, you know what? Screw it, Raquel. Let's go one-on-one. Liv, let's go one-on-one. They beating the brakes off poor girl. Here comes Becky. What do we want night after Mania? We want debuts and returns and surprises.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Becky comes in. Man shows up. Man saves the day. Man turns around and rock bottoms Lyra, holds up the IC belt. We're off and running. Why did we have to piss away a tag team match in a whole division?
Well, with that being said, hopefully this didn't piss people off. WrestleMania night 1. We'll go with said. Overall, night 1 for WrestleMania. What did you think of it? What were your highlights?
I gotta go back and think. Like night 2 was so good. I gotta go back and think night 1. I would say the main event was very strong. Very strong main event. I was surprised that Tiffany and Charlotte was clean for the most part. The biggest shocker is the fact that the opener, and not the fact that Jay won. It's the fact that Gunther tapped. Because the only other person to tap Gunther was Ilya Dragunov, and I think a lot of people who have seen that match in NXT UK would say it holds up as probably one of the most phenomenal matches of all time. So to have Jay tap Gunther was a huge statement. But that moment, just seeing Jay not only get his moment, come through the audience in Allegiant Stadium, like I'm glad they did it that way. I'm glad he opened the show. I'm happy that the New Day now have 13 title reigns. That was done right as well. Even though that was the cool off match, I thought we were going to get a Big E moment, but we didn't. But it was done right. I think everything was in the right spot. But overall, it felt like Mania didn't need to be 2 nights when you take night 1 versus night 2 as a totality. The main event, the triple threat, Punk, Rollins, Reigns, perfect. The visual you get of Roman Reigns' family tree as he's walking to the ring, that was gorgeous. That was amazing how they did that. I thought that was one of the best interests of the weekend. And of course, Punk's moment with Heyman, whether you like the ending of the main event or not, that was very real. They broke the fourth wall there with Heyman kissing Punk, doing that callback to when he walked him out against The Undertaker. It was a great moment. And I thought, obviously, night 1, the best aspect of it was the triple threat, in my opinion.
Courtney, thoughts?
Seth kind of gave a description. The main event did what it was supposed to do, and Paul Heyman broke the fourth wheel, betrayed not only CM Punk but also Roman. Not a surprise there. I was happy the New Day finally won the belts because we can finally revamp Raw's tag team division because they can take a similar playbook on what SmackDown is doing. Because for Raw, you can at least get some tag teams in there. Just do it the same way that they can. Also, I did enjoy Naomi's entrance. I did enjoy the Titantron and the yellow tape. The match, I will say, was solid. But I was very shocked they gave the win to Jade than Naomi. I was a little bit surprised. I thought at least Naomi would have got the win. And also with Tiffany's match, it was actually very solid. I was a little bit concerned with Charlotte because it looks like her knee brace was about to be taken off.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt like her knee, the repaired knee that she had. So hopefully she gets much needed rest. But I was happy Tiffy did pick up a clean win. But it was a solid night one all around. I really thought it was pretty solid.
I forgot. Shout out to Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. That was the other really good match on the card that night.
That was a good match.
As far as the bloodline is concerned, and now even, y'all know I like to include Naomi in the mix. It's kind of splintered off in so many different things. So Jacob, what do you think is going to be next for the bloodline, the OG bloodline, the bloodline adjacent, and all of Rikishi's children?
All like 6 of his children, because there's like 3 more coming at some point. Like legit, like there's 2 or 3 more behind Solo. So honestly, night one kind of set up everything perfect. Like the bloodline is fractured and it's kind of splittered off, which is what it was going to happen anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no way you could keep all of them together. It's kind of done its job. I think we can say we wrapped up the game finally. Like Heyman, I think we've hit the bottom of the ninth, 3 outs. This run of the bloodline is wrapped up. It's just at some point I think they're all going to come back together. Like at some point, the
Timu and the OG, or like all in one, like
one mass conglomerate.
It would have to be a very big threat for that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where we're going, or at least some combination of it. Like maybe you get Roman, Fatu, Solo, and Jimmy. You leave Sammy on the outskirts, let Sammy be Sammy, and maybe you have Jay hover. But there's something, because I think The Rock still has something to do with this. Like Rocky.
You think that's it for The Rock? Like I feel like he didn't.
He
The Rock ain't going out this quiet.
The Rock said, "Hey, I gotta get this Moana money.
Rocky ain't going out this quiet. Come on,
$7 gotta go acquire a Japan Wrestling Federation. He moved on to the next thing.
I guess so, but then it seems so underwhelming. Like how he left it off, how it played out last year. I feel like there's still.
But Travis Scott came out with a hardcore championship. This cinema.
He's been at that. But think about it.
He's been at the belt.
The Rock says he wants his champion. Sure, you might argue that Cena is his champion, but you know what really would be his champion? Hey, little cuz, let me holler at you real quick.
Depends on which one you're talking about.
Either one, both of them. But I'm assuming we go at Jay first. And then we'll circle back to Fatu.
It got to be Jacob if it's that.
No, let's go at Jay first. Hey, little cuz, let me holler at you real quick. I know this is new for you.
Another play with Ava. Like I feel like
I feel like we're getting our hopes up too much with the Dwayne stuff. We just gotta leave it where it's at. Yeah. And if it happens, it happens. But I'm not expecting anything to happen.
Well, I mean, yeah, I expected, Naomi to be part of the bloodline, and that's never going to happen either. So I can just throw out these hopes. Only some of the stuff stick, like, the NXT or the Netflix writers room WWE show that's coming out this summer. Like they took that from me. And so I'll just take that one, and they can.
Why you didn't put Naomi and Nia or at least acknowledge them in some passing manner of like in the bloodline. Like,
No, they were acknowledged that last year in Vegas. They were part of the tree.
no, I mean like legit on screen. Like, yeah, the nice
Oh,
tree and everything's nice and
yeah,
all like cool. Okay, great.
Mhm.
You know who else is all on that tree? You have Alpha, Sika, Haku. Like, you
yeah.
have your acknowledgments, but like, I need you to like acknowledge that, hey, one is by blood and the other one is by marriage. And like also Rocky, and there's like Tamina floating in like that weird space of like,
Mhm.
she is one of us, but she's not one of us, but she's one of us. So like, let's acknowledge this and let's use them and let them run roughshod over the women's division, which just gave me a good idea. Maybe Naomi goes to Nia for a little help, get rid of the Jade problem. Maybe
Something has to
Solo.
happen. 'Cause that was underwhelming.
Mhm.
Like, you did all that just for her to lose at
Well, you're not
me.
going to mess up the money. What's the money? Jade's
What-
the money.
Are you sure? Because I was at Wale Mania on Thursday and I heard how Naomi was talking. And if you saw the clip,
Loud minority.
no.
I saw the clip, but
she's
let's-
leaned
grand
in
scheme.
100%. She's leaned all the way in.
50,000 feet. We're a loud minority backing Naomi. For better or worse, Naomi doesn't pass a grocery store test. Naomi doesn't pass an airport test necessarily. Jade Cargill passes both. You walk by Jade in the airport, you gonna do a double take and go.
Here's
Who-
where I
who
disagree
that?
with that comment. Is we talk about the casual fans. We talk about the fans that don't necessarily watch wrestling, but grew up watching Total Divas. They absolutely know who Naomi is. They know who her husband is, and from that
Well,
show, they have followed her trajectory of her career.
Mm,
You
You
absolutely would know her if you saw her in the street.
you just conflated it because the average fan, well, there's three different levels. You have the fan who checks in once in a while, who might have, because we're like 10 years removed from Total Divas, right? So
Mhm.
you have the person who might not even like realize that it was a thing. And I think what Jacob is saying, even though I don't like it because y'all know I rock hard for Trin, that it's kind of like what you see. Naomi versus Jade, and yeah, that's the case because I was disappointed. I'm like,
oh, I
the whole-
don't like it. She
Yeah.
should have won.
she should have
but
won. Period.
Your
Because
money.
the amount of times that she has been, they brought her to a certain point and then she didn't get it. She came back from TNA. She didn't say anything about what happened with her in WWE to this day. Came back from TNA, and I wanted her to get it, but of course, they had her do other things. And then, even the tag teams, it was kind of like by default. And now we get this new version of Naomi, which I like, and I don't think we would have got if they kind of gave her the belt last year. However, for her to get this new version to come out like this and then to lose, I'm like, what's happening? It just feels like they're just kind of, it's like, okay, well, you've been here, but we don't think you can carry it. So we're going to bring you this far, and then you're going to roll back down the hill. Like, I'm incredibly disappointed, but that's on a personal level. But
The only saving grace for her, not to cut you off, is that there's a women's mid-card title.
Mhm.
That's the only saving grace for this character. It's like, maybe she gets the lick back, she gets some help. But you're right, like, she's been the ultimate team player. You got to reward her at some point. Because
Or she got to jump Jade again. Like, something has to happen.
right.
Mhm.
Like, otherwise,
she
you did
probably
all this
will.
for nothing.
she probably will.
Hopefully, but do you
jump her
think
and get a lick back.
I heard some people were saying that like this is it. Like, now Jade can move on to other things, because also another thing too. Let's be honest. I don't think Jade is gonna be here for a long time. So there's gonna be things that they're gonna want for her to square away, some story angles that they want her to do. It's just, and then on top of that, we don't know how long. Like, I mean, yes, Naomi can go. It's not like she's slowing up, but again, it's like there's only so many things there's only so much time that we have. So I'm really hoping that it's not like, okay, well, we don't have anything for you, and then we're not going to see her, or we're going to see just vignettes once in a while. And then, I throw her into a random storyline, and then, oh, well, that didn't work. And now we have, 2 years of Naomi in this place, and then something else pops up. I'm just like incredibly, and this is more of a personal versus what's best for business and what's best for the storyline. It's just like, this has been your number one soldier. For all that to happen years ago, Go back
Three,
to when
4 years.
her and Mercedes dropped those titles and everything that was swerving, and the two of them both still haven't said anything publicly. They've hinted some stuff, but they haven't said anything publicly as far as what happened. And to bring her back into the fold and not have a payoff of some sort, come on, son. Like, where are we
I
going?
mean, I think the one thing that saves her from her being like permanently shelved and forgotten about is the family name. For
What
better or
family
worse.
name? Because we don't acknowledge that she's part of the family.
On TV, we don't, but in the back, you got to know your cousin-in-law is the biggest draw in the business.
But then if that's the case, then she should have a better story. Like,
Should,
you're
but
saying,
again,
you're saying how I like name drop and stuff like that. Like, and I'm gonna not, but kind of name drop again. Like, I was able to make a call and get, said and will into some places. I'm not like big dogging or anything. Don't look at me.
no.
Are we gonna do that? Are we gonna do that right? We're gonna do that right? Okay, I'll remember that. I was able to get some people into some places.
I didn't say you didn't.
And this is your cousin. This is your cousin-in-law, and she has that last name. Then she should have been able to like leverage that into something else. Clearly, the last name doesn't mean anything to them in that sort of way where they're like, oh, well, she's part of the family. Let's like.
I see that, but I'm saying it at least keeps her hot and keeps her on the stove. She might be forgotten about, but she doesn't get
the time that she was gone for like 6 months and nobody knew where she went, and then she popped up at a Puerto Rican show. Do you remember that?
Just say, look at it now though, like because clearly she's proven now that hey, I will put my dick on the table and I will bounce. Like you can't treat me any type of way. Great kudos for her. So I think they're at least should be consciously aware enough that like we'll at least keep her on the back burner or by the stove in some realm. Same with Nia. Nia got released, whatever. Since Nia's been back, she's been in an orbit. Now, I think that's about the best we can ask because she could very easily fall into the likes of an Alba Fire, Aladon before she got released, where we just completely forget about you. So, Selena before this recent run, where we just forget about you. So at least she's on the stove in the conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's right. I don't love it, but considering what the alternative is, I will take it.
I mean, I'll agree with you on that point. Courtney, as far as Trin is concerned, because we went off on a tangent, so I'll bring it back and finish up before we go into night 2. As far as Trin is concerned, what do you think is the best? What's the best thing to happen, or what would you suggest, PR wise?
Suggested. I mean, Jacob had some points in there. I don't even know because after this loss, I think for her it's just kind of revamping because we still don't. In the elephant in the room, it's like. Okay, we don't even know what happened with Jade. And then on top of that, she still has unfinished business with Bianca because we saw that last Friday on SmackDown. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing to consider. And especially after what happened last night in that triple threat match. So where do you even go from there?
Who knows? But where we can go from there is night 2, WrestleMania night 2. Said so oh yeah, you guys watched most of it from the pool. So as far as night 2, what's your overall and what was the match that stood out to you?
Are we bringing props?
Yeah, that's what stood out to me.
Io.
That's what stood out to me. Women's champion Io Sky walking into WrestleMania as champion and retaining. That was by far the match of the night. By far. The ladies opened the show, literally showed their ass, like just beautiful work. And the fact that Io retained, I felt like she should retain going in, but what really got me was the fact that Bianca took the pin. I didn't expect that. I expected them to keep doing the storyline with Rhea not being able to get over Io, but like that was a big crowning moment for her that made us feel like she is on the same tier when she's quietly been on the same tier as them for a long time. But now it's like it's definitive because she got her Mania moment. And I thought it was cool that they gave the stats that she had never won at WrestleMania before, but also that she's undefeated in triple threats. So she kept that streak alive. That was good. The moment of the night for me, while that was the match of the night, the moment of the night was Joe Hendry. I love when you get a payoff. That was a huge payoff, and there's a lot of arguments going on the Twitter Spaces about TNA got buried. They buried their champion. Like, your title just got put on the biggest wrestling show of the year, and your champion got to wrestle a certified Hall of Famer that's been in the business 20 plus years at his 20th WrestleMania. We've been talking about the TNA partnership for a long time. We talk about AEW's partnership with New Japan and how it's kind of self-serving. TNA got an ultimate rub right there. We've been looking for stuff like that, for the titles to be put on the biggest pedestal. Think of Mickie James coming out with the title at the Royal Rumble. This is Joe Hendry's second big appearance this year, and they both hit. I had to ask Christina, because Christina was in the building. I was like, what's the louder pop, Joe Hendry or Becky Lynch? And she said Becky, but they were pretty damn equal. It's amazing to say that Kevin Owens got a bad injury and got put out of WrestleMania, but you can pay it forward like that with Hendry and still create a moment as big as that. I'm very interested a week from now to see like how many views that entrance, that match, that RKO has on social. So I'm pretty sure it's going to clear everything else, including John capturing 17, because there's some thoughts about that. People felt like it was lackluster, but again, what did you expect? John said he was going to ruin wrestling, not give you a 5-star classic. Becky Lynch returning, big moment. Thought it was telegraphed, but Hendry and the triple threat were probably my favorite spots of the night.
Courtney?
I actually did enjoy Io retaining it. It was definitely nice for the ladies to kick it off. I was very, very happy. And also, there was a clip spiraling around where Io's parents was in the audience and they were happy to see their daughter win. So that was a really nice, memorable moment. Also, we got to see Kairi Sin celebrate Io Sky in there. So that's a celebration for her as well. So very curious on who Io's next opponent's going to be, especially if we're finding out tonight on Raw. So I was very happy to see that. Also, Joe Hendry. I was very happy to see Joe Hendry. And I don't know why TNA fans are complaining, because this is something I don't think many people would have saw anybody from TNA crossing the WWE line, that forbidden door, and seeing Joe Hendry facing off against Randy Orton. That was definitely a memorable match. And also, the memes are picking up for Joe Hendry. The memes are already picking up on social, so it was really nice to see him in there. Of course, we got to see Becky back. Becky make a return. She does look good. She did look good. And of course, seeing the look on Lyra's face, but we'll see what they go from there with Becky and Lyra. Also, very curious, especially during the match between Logan Paul and AJ Styles. Very curious with Karrion Kross, because I know he's been doing out with AJ Styles lately, but we'll see how that pans out tonight. And also, John. Oh, yeah, it's Stone Cold driving the ATV. Stone Cold. But also, I mean, John, he did get number 17. He got the 17th win. But Travis Scott, or as I call him, Kylie's baby daddy, if you're even going to come to ringside, at least be a drastic heel and do something. Because when I watched it, it looked like he was sitting there and he could have at least taunted Cody's family, since they were right in the audience. He could have at least taunted his mother or Brandy if he wanted that heel. But congratulations to John for getting 17.
That's very underwhelming. Congratulations to John, but not Jacob.
It was the triple threat for me. That's a banger. Io had to pin Bianca because it was the statement of Io saying, Io already owns Rhea, so her pinning Rhea, triple threat, doesn't matter. Cool, I beat you before. I pinned your shoulders to the ground multiple times. Hey, Bianca, you want to treat me like a side? I just pinned you 1, 2, 3. And now I think we can fully push Bianca a little bit closer to that heel turn that I feel like is slow, that's been slow building and slow burning, because they booed her on her way to the ring, which I was like, ooh, all right, cool. That's nice. Let's go ahead and do this thing then. So it was that Joe Hendry was not a burial. He got in decent offense against Randy Orton. if the match would have went any longer, it wouldn't have made sense if you think about it. Because you're like, all right, you could call TNA an upstart or whatever, but like, somebody that doesn't know, who's this nobody holding Randy Orton for this long? Looks bad, looks weird, looks wrong, whatever. Perfect. Joe Hendry doing the spot, turning around, another trademark RKO out of nowhere, telegraph, but you hit all the high notes, and then Orton doing Hendry's taunt and shaking the man's hand, albeit at the end of the RKO, still puts him over. And again, you just put the TNA World Champion and that belt and that company in front of an audience that it never would have reached otherwise. There's no burial, there's no complaint. Now, if TNA and or WWE doesn't run with it after this moment, then we could talk about it. But Joe Hendry was on Busted Open and said that some megastar with a bus wants to show up in Impact. You know what I would do? I would take one Cody Rhodes and hey dog, go find yourself. Go to TNA, go find yourself. Kind of work yourself back up. Like you feel like let the people down. Go do a little rehab. Go find yourself. Go to TNA for a little bit, you know? Kind of get back in the groove and then come back for John at like SummerSlam or something. Oh, other pop of the night, other thing that I really love because I don't care about Becky. I already said we'll get to the Cena match in a minute. Dom Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Dom Guerrero, whatever you want to call that boy. They got money in that one. That man went from being booed while coming out, paying homage to his past, to hitting that frog splash out of nowhere and having to run back down a ramp to do another victory lap and photo op. Perfect. Loved it. Everything's great. I just need to see where Dom goes from here, but that was night 2 for me. It wasn't as good as night 1. I felt like night 1 was the better night. Top to bottom, start to finish. But night 2 had the higher highs and the lower low as well.
I think I saw Bosa, and I think said you made reference to that. This year in particular, and or I guess following years, do we need 2 nights? I know financially it's a good look. And I remember, I guess it was in Tampa when it was raining. It was like the 7 hours of Mania. I guess like longevity wise, as far as the fans, that's a lot on the fans. But do we need to go back to that one night, or have the one night, but it's still they keep it at a 5 hour versus 7 hour, or what do you think the play is? Because I feel like if you do the one night, you can still have everything else in and around it and still have a full weekend. So I guess, Courtney, what do you think would be a good idea?
There's always a pros and cons when it comes to 2 nights, because financially you have to look from business wise on how that's going to go promotion wise, but also at the same time it can get a little bit challenging, especially if you have 2 nights. And on top of that, if you want to throw in NXT when they have to do a PLE during specific weekends, that can also be a little bit of a stretch as well. So there is a mix of pros and cons. Also thinking of the matches, what match do you want to do? And also thinking hour-wise, because I know for the past 2 nights for WrestleMania, they did 4 hours of just the main card. Because yes, they had a pre-show, they had a post-show, and they had a post-conference after that. So that can also be a little bit tiring. And even throughout this whole weekend leading up to WrestleMania, you had to deal with SmackDown and also the Hall of Fame being late. Very late over in the East Coast. So I think that's something that they have to really think about, especially when it comes to New Orleans next year, on how they're going to plan out for the weekend, and just thinking like what worked, what didn't work, what can we plan next year that's going to be a little bit different than past WrestleManias. So it's just finding that healthy balance.
And before we get out of here, said, give you a little bit of time because you've had a long weekend with wrestling and whatever else you did in Vegas. WWE Raw preview. Well, I wasn't around you the whole time. I don't know what else you did in Vegas.
Damn, homie.
He could have Bible study. I don't know. I'm just saying, what else you did in Vegas?
Bible study in Sin City, really?
You know what?
Really?
I don't think there's a lot of information on Raw going out right now outside of what we're going to hear from our new undisputed WWE World Champion John Cena. I did just read that there are reports that Miro and Trick Williams are both backstage at Monday Night Raw, but just tune into the show. I mean, Raw After Mania is usually the most rowdy crowd of the year, and there's still a lot of surprises. But I haven't seen actual match card lists yet. But I'm pretty sure we'll be doing a celebration for Jey Uso. I wouldn't be surprised if he kicked off the show, but I know we're going to hear from John, and we're going to kick off a new season because everybody knows that after WrestleMania ends, in terms of the sports world, we're in a new season of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And will we be having a watch along and post show?
The mayor is quite famished. There were a lot of activities this weekend that my body is still recovering from. So I will emphatically say there will be no watch along. You do not get to watch Monday Night Raw with me tonight, but I will give you guys a post show, and you're just gonna have to get it when you get it. It may be tonight, it might be tomorrow, but you're gonna get one.
Oh. There's a whole follow-up joke with that, but I'm gonna leave it alone. With that being said, Courtney.
Sound like big money contract talking right there.
Courtney, where can everybody find you?
I mean, the people, they know I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You know, every Wednesday I do my watch along for AEW Dynamite. Don't want to miss this Wednesday's Dynamite.
Why are you looking surprised, Jacob? You didn't know this?
No, that felt like a shot at said, like she's like, oh, I do my watch along every Wednesday night.
I mean, Courtney's not in the streets like said is, so
that we know of. But continue on, Courtney.
There are a lot of things, but try to make the most of it. Try to. I try to.
All right.
Try to make the most of it. But they know every Wednesday, AEW Dynamite, I do my watch along every Wednesday. They can also follow me on my socials on at CourtneyNJ11. Feel free to check me out on socials. There was a few posts that I had, but I do have a lot of stuff that's happening in the coming weeks. So make sure to stay up to date. Also, please make sure to follow ISPW Wrestling because I'll be doing a lot of stuff with them in the coming weeks as well. So do not want to miss that.
Jacob, where can everybody find you?
Oh yeah, you can find me on Instagram at TK Pops the Balloon, coming soon. You can find me on Twitter at Jacob was going to do an article for WWT, but realized he no longer has logins to the website. So, you know, but now you can find me on Twitter at _J Della. Find my thoughts and musings over at anscape.com in regards to the happenings in the sneaker world and other things. So, and you can find me coming through here, you know, Monday, Wednesday, maybe a Friday, give or take, sliding through, you know, and might be cooking up something soon with Mr. Welton, maybe.
Speaking of sliding, said.
You can find me at 25K per cheek with baby gravy on the side on all social media platforms. Said is the answer on Twitter. Said says on Twitter. Said is the answer on the gram. This was a lovely weekend. It was great actually spending time with the councilman, meeting the professor for the first time in person, and a lot of the creators in this beautiful wrestling media space. So shout out to all of them. We have a lot of content that is coming out from WrestleMania weekend. Scenes from Wale Mania, scenes from Fourth Rope Wrestling, scenes from WrestleCon, as well as our WrestleMania watch parties. A lot of great stuff from 72 Hours in Las Vegas coming to you really soon. And look out for us in the streets, man. We got some summer shows coming. I know TNA is in a couple weeks in the Coliseum in LA. We got a New Japan Resurgence in a few weeks in early May. And then now we know that Worlds Collide as well as Money in the Bank will be here in Los Angeles. So we're going to be in the streets getting great content for you guys. We about to put our foot on collective necks when it comes to this content world. And on top of that, Hickenbottom, I was at arm's reach. Could have smacked you. You know what I'm saying? We won't get it right, though. But I'm pissed off that my client not only did not win the ladder match, but but you had her working at WWE World yesterday during the WrestleMania. God damn it. My client deserves better. The streets know this.
She got what she deserved.
We want gold. And that's all I'll say about that.
We
Support
could buy her a
TK's
nice
Body
necklace.
Butter. TK Body Butter, bring the whole train around. You heard it here first. So that's all I got to say about that. And I will say that TK does pass the casino taste. I think Khalees said something like the milkshake brings the boys to the yard or something of that nature. Like I saw it live, by the way.
So what did you get into this weekend, boss lady?
I told y'all. I was literally I will shout out Remix Rumble. Mark Henry had a DJ set there and people showed out. It was great. Busted Open, I tagged along with some of that stuff. Like I said, Mark Henry did an event. So I was pretty much anywhere Mark Henry or JB Cool, who's the COO of All Caribbean Wrestling. I was pretty much wherever they were, assisting them and making sure they got their stuff done and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a different type of weekend, as I predicted. So it was fun. I saw a lot of things. There's things that there'll be some pictures dropping. I do have to shout out Ced. He was kissing babies and shaking hands in my absence. I don't know about this For Love TK thing, but other than that, for the business of WWT, definitely shout out Ced and Will for that. So it was a good weekend. No sleep. That's why I'm still stuck in Vegas, because I'm like, I can't drive on 3 hours of sleep. So I'll be back in LA tomorrow.
Yeah, I got some special interviews for y'all too. Like
we got so many interviews. Red Velvet interview is dropping this week. You guys don't want to miss. She says she gets some really good gems. A Soraya interview is dropping next week, but we also have interviews from Queen of the Ring still we gotta drop. There's interviews from this week. There's so many interviews. So there's just definitely keep it locked with that. But yeah, definitely thank you guys for rocking with us. Our social media is gonna start popping even more. So it's gonna be interesting. Is this Councilman? Oh, okay. Just in time for him to say goodbye. Councilman, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Mandy Rose is still not a double champion. Always make sure that y'all support that. You can also support our podcast, 63 Days, that is still thriving right now. We're still hot and rolling right now. Apologies for not being on the full episode, because downtown is going through an electrical crisis right now for some strange reason. God, I gotta get out of this place.
Come on to the valley. All right. With that being said, oh my God, it'd be so funny. 3-bedroom just opened up beside me. With that being said, thank you guys so much for rocking with us.
Does that mean you'll go next door?
Yeah, it'd be literally next door. It's a really sweet 3-bedroom. I might actually take it myself, but we'll see.
So you can go next door, but you can't come downstairs.
Hit the clip. Let's go.
That would have been perfect to end stream. Like, yo.
Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Thanks, y'all. Oh, wait. Yeah, thanks, Dr. K on the outro. Here we go. Boom. Thanks, y'all. See y'all.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.